So what do you guys think about the new cars that are coming out in 2024?
Big names are going to be something like the Revuelto, Purosangue. I think we saw some come out the back end of last year. We've got SF90 XS coming out this year.
That's going to be insane. So do you think the people at Lamborghini saw the prices of the Purosangue and thought, hold on a minute, we're missing a trick here?
Surely.
All of the Purosangues are pretty much sold out at double the price of a Urus.
Yeah.
So they're missing a trick, right?
100%.
I think that's a message for our viewers. Anybody that's out there and that is looking to go and buy a new car right now, just be ballsy. Say to your salesperson down there, how does 30 grand off sound? And see what happens, because you just never know in a market like this what a manufacturer would be up for doing, right?
This is the story that I would tell my clients to tell.
Don't share all your secrets, George.
We're going to have Ferrari watching this. Now we know.
Yeah, but what can they do? Because
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the GVE London Podcast. I've got George and I've got Anthony with us today, and it is 2024, first podcast since the new year. How are you guys feeling?
New settings.
Oh yeah. New setting for the podcast as well. We decided that it makes sense doing it in the showroom, and so you guys can see all the stock that we got behind us. But what's your thoughts on how 2024 is going to be for us?
I think it's a funny one. 2023 was a year of ups and downs. We saw some cars go crazy up in value. Something like the SVJ went up by almost £100,000. Other cars completely crashed. So it'd be interesting to see coming into this year how that trend's going to continue. I think the biggest thing I found is new cars. They just don't seem to be stopping. Like new cars
in
are
what
continuously
sense?
falling. Some of the cars like the 992 Turbo S's, the G63s, the Range Rovers, they're just getting cheaper and cheaper every week. Like
Really?
There's more discount given week on week. But then again, you've got some of the anticipated cars like the Revueltos and the Purosangues that are still going for massive overs.
How massive is a massive? Like, don't give an exact amount, but what's the range?
Let's say something like the SF90XX had a customer who, I mean, this was a couple of months ago now, but he was ready to give 250 grand over list.
Oh my God.
Yeah. He wanted to have the
What's
first
the list
one.
on it?
Depending on options, I'm sure that's going to go up to 600 or 700.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I think then you're entering a market of, clientele that money just doesn't mean much to them. Like the overs don't really mean much at all. Because, I mean, if you're spending 600 grand, 700 grand on the list of a car, then the premium.
What's an extra 200 grand,
What's an extra 200 grand to make sure that you get the damn thing, right?
Exactly, yeah.
I heard through the grapevine, I don't know how true this is, but it was through a trusted source, that there's a footballer in the UK who wanted a left-hand drive Purosangue. Wanted to have the first one here, and he paid 900,000 euros.
Wow.
Which is what, maybe like 750 grand?
Yeah.
So what, that's that 250 grand
Over
list.
Over. But the interesting thing was when I looked into it, left-hand drive cars are worth a lot more than right-hand drive cars. And that was never the case 3 years ago. It was always right-hand drive.
Why do you think that is?
More. Brexit has definitely caused an issue with right-hand drive cars. It's now not so easy to get right-hand drive cars out of the country and use them, or get left-hand drive cars from other countries and bring them to the UK. So now their prices are plus the local duties and taxes.
Oh, yeah, of course.
They're worth a lot more.
I mean, the other thing is that left-hand drive is the main type of car in the world, right? It's only a minority of countries that drive with right-hand drive cars.
Yeah.
So, and if you think some of the biggest populations in the world, like your China's and the USA and this, that, and the other, they're all left-hand drive. So it makes sense that rare car, like supercars in left-hand drive are going to be worth a lot more because you've got a much bigger client base.
They're always good news. Every time we get a left-hand drive car as well, they always seem to sell a lot quicker, or we got a lot more inquiries on those cars over the right-hand drives for something. I guess that's because the market's so much bigger, right?
Yeah. I think, what was the last Ferrari that we done?
F12.
F12, left-hand drive.
Yeah.
And that went out to Dubai or something, right?
No, there was a Speciale that went to Dubai, the left-hand drive one. The F12, he's an American who lives in Surrey, but then has a place also in Switzerland.
Yeah.
So I said he wanted to keep the car here in Surrey, and then we'll take it to Switzerland.
Got it.
But also another point why left-hand drive cars are selling quite well is on the track. If you speak to someone who drives track cars, and you would know this as well, left-hand drive is the perfect car for a track. You're close to the apex, and however you're meant to be driving, left-hand drive is built for a track. That's how supercars are meant to be driven on a track. Anyone you speak to who drives supercars on the track, they always prefer left-hand drive,
yeah, I've heard
which is
that.
why the majority of hypercars are always left-hand drive as well. It's better suited for track driving. So we have a GT3 RS.
Two left-hand drive
ones.
Yeah.
But prior to this, we had another one that sold really quickly, and he only bought it for the track. He had a right-hand drive one, and he said, this is just going to be my track toy. I need a left-hand drive GT3 RS.
Wow. Interestingly, we just sold a Escalade, right? In left-hand drive.
Yeah.
So we're not having to get it from Europe, bring it in.
Yeah.
That was surprising. Like that is such a wide car, and then to have it as a left-hand drive car as well.
Such a funny way of how that inquiry came. He was he wanted something different. And I think he was looking to change out of his SVR, and he was like, I just want something outrageous, something that's not seen on the streets. And the first thing that came to his head was Escalade. I've always loved them. Get me an Escalade.
I don't think pictures do it justice.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Yeah.
They're like literally probably 1.5 times the size of the new Range Rover, which are quite big.
We had
as they
3
are.
parked up in the detailing unit.
I remember.
Yeah, for PPF.
Escalades.
Yeah, I do remember.
No way.
3 parked up there.
Yeah, when we
Massive.
were
They
Unit
took
9.
up the whole unit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then that guy, because they only come left-hand drive,
Yeah.
then that guy paid about 20 or 25 grand on each car to convert it to right-hand.
No way, you can get it converted.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow.
There must be a big market for that, because that is that's a sturdy car.
Yeah.
That is, if you get into an accident with an Escalade, there's only one person that's winning, right?
So when when the Queen passed away, the President of the United States came over and on the plane had his Escalade for his security and for him to travel in, which was then being driven around. So you may see clips of him being driven around in an Escalade, and he's like, he wouldn't go anywhere where there's going to be a lot of attention on him without that car, because it's bulletproof, it's solid, and it's just built for him to be driven around in.
Yeah, that's what they do. They always fly their entourage over with all their cars, like a fleet of cars. It's insane.
So what do you guys think about the new cars that are coming out in 2024?
There are some pretty cool models. I think that were being discussed last year. The big names are going to be something like the Revuelto, Purosangue. I think we saw some come out the back end of last year. We've got SF90 XS coming out this year.
That's going to be insane, yeah.
But how many of those are they making, though?
Which one?
SF90 XX?
It's not numbered. So
it's
you know
not.
how similar they've done it with the Speciale and the Pista. They
It's like a special series, but not...
do like a limited run in production, but not limited in numbers.
So they're quoting 0 to 60 in something like 2.3 seconds or something like that. Like, it's literally like roller coaster speeds. It's going to be insane.
But this Performante, how did the Urus Performante do in the last year? Would you say that
I think
they've got
of it
the
was
electric
good.
version of the Lambo coming out as well, right?
Just seen an email directly from Lamborghini sent to a client of ours. He then screenshot that email and sent it to me. They said on the email, so the Urus Performante is being delayed. However, if you'd like, we'll transfer your deposit over to the hybrid, but it's more expensive.
Oh, wow.
So the hybrid is going to be more expensive
really?
than the Urus Performante, which was the most expensive Urus you can buy.
How much was the Urus Performante?
Urus
About
Performante
280?
spec'd up to the brim with carbon and everything. It was about 275, 280.
Okay,
you can
okay.
get Urus Performantes for as cheap as 260 if they've got no spec. But he said on the email, they haven't got the exact prices. You're not able to spec one yet, but it is going to be circa 300 and above.
300 grand. But look, it makes sense if the Purosangue is what, 450?
List, yeah, with options about 450. They can be spec'd up to 520.
So do you
530.
think the people at Lamborghini saw the prices of the Purosangue and thought, hold on a minute, we're missing a trick here?
Surely.
All of the Purosangues are pretty much sold out at double the price of a Urus.
Yeah.
So they're missing a trick, right?
100%. I mean, something to consider over here is when the G63s were released. The initial G63 first edition, the facelift, list price on those was circa £130,000. Now you go to Mercedes and try and buy a Mercedes G63 Magno edition, which would be the equivalent of a first edition, fully spec'd up.
Yeah.
£198,000.
Oh my
So they've
God.
upped the price of the exact same model, no changes, the same car, by roughly £70,000.
£70,000.
But it's obvious why, right? Because they saw dealerships like us or their own customers flipping these cars at much more money.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we want a piece of that. Why the hell are these guys making the margin when we should? If the demand is that much, we should be charging people that much.
Yeah.
But surely it's going to bite them.
Well, it has, right?
Yeah.
Well, we're seeing prices drop, but I don't think they're going to lower the prices of the new models.
Of the list.
Yeah,
because
no.
I mean, how often have you guys ever seen the list price of a car be set at a level and then they actually drop the list
Never.
price?
Never.
But I think what we will see is a lot of discounts, right?
Yes and no. I do think right now we're seeing a massive drop in the G63s because it's done. Like everyone across the world knows about the G63 market.
Yeah.
However, when the facelift comes and it's the next thing, or the EQG comes, the electric version, it's now the new version of that car. And then suddenly all of these people who had the old G63 are now going to want to change that into the new one, which is now going to suddenly inflate the market again. So my prediction anyways is I haven't got a crystal ball to think what's going to happen.
But they're going to sell their cars, which is going to mean an influx of cars onto the market, which means that
dropping the price of the old G63.
Of the old G63. The only thing that, I don't know, the counter argument to that is that EQG, like really? I don't know, man.
I think that's going to be hot property.
Really?
Anyone I speak to says EQG. They can't wait to see it.
I mean, one of the I've driven around a G wagon for some time, right? And the one thing that I hate is, look, you have to know that the car's going to cost you a lot in fuel. That's a normal thing. You don't drive a G-Wagon with fuel efficiency in mind, right? And they definitely got the new model right with that. They got it better than it used to be. But I'd say the one big thing is having to stop off at the petrol station every few days.
To say, I don't think it helped that you had a G700 Brabus.
Yeah. But no, but even a normal one, you fill it up. You spend what, 180 quid filling it up?
Minimum.
180 quid filling it up, and then just a few trips from, let's say, from the showroom to London, so say about 3 or 4 trips, and suddenly you have to fill up again.
Yeah.
And just in context, Golf, the VW Golf, you fill it up for 50 quid, and then you can carry on driving it for a few weeks.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I know you're a married man, but for people out there who want to get into these cars, you don't get as much attention in a Golf as you do
from the ladies.
From the ladies,
oh, really?
And from the men, depending on how you.
Yeah.
But so this is it, right? So EQG now, you get the looks of the G-Wagon. They're probably going to be even more extreme because of the EQG. They have like light bars everywhere, and you don't have to fill up as often. Or you could.
Well, you don't have to fill up at all.
No,
right?
that's what I'm saying.
Is it fully electric?
Fully electric, but you just plug it in at home when you get home and forget about it, and the next day you're off again.
Do you know what the range is on that? Surely it can't be that much given the weight of the car.
Yeah, it'll be a very heavy
It's going to be a heavy car, but I think they should still keep it similar to the G63, so they'll give you like 100 miles range, just to keep it feeling more authentic.
Have you seen the promo they've done for the EQG?
No.
They just released a video yesterday. So I don't know where it was. It seemed like it was in the States
Vegas,
somewhere.
wasn't it? I think it was Vegas.
On the strip, and they've wet the whole road. And one of the biggest features on the EQG is the crab wheels.
crawl.
Crab crawl. So it can go around and spin around in the 360 circle.
On the spot.
So,
wow.
Yeah, they've got this whole thing where they think the cars are going to be stuck in sand, and you have to somehow try and get it out. From the GLS and the Maybach, they've now got the jumping mode, and now on the EQG they've got the crab walk where you can go around. Okay. I think they put 7 EQGs on the strip in Vegas and made all of them spin at the same time.
Oh wow.
That's going to be the new thing in music videos. I think the GLS was the bouncing thing. Yeah, now you're going to see all these rappers spinning.
Yeah, we just had a call from a rapper to do a video down here, right?
We did, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Was he a famous one?
Extremely famous.
Oh, really?
So famous they wouldn't even give us their name.
I thought it was James prank calling.
But no, look, so G-Wagons, obviously, look, the thing is, ever since we've started the showroom, G-Wagon has always been popular. There's always been a market out there for a G-Wagon, even with the old ones that,
they're still selling now.
Used to steer like a boat,
Yeah.
And they're still selling now.
It's just, okay.
The looks are so cool.
100%. What we deal in is I hate to say it, but we deal in ego. You buy these cars to try and be seen and heard, and you want to be noticed in these cars.
Yeah.
G-Wagon is the perfect car for that.
Yeah.
You want a daily car that's comfortable. Okay, maybe not so comfortable, but it's got the space for people to sit in there, and for you to use it as a daily car. It's solid, and at the same time sounds and.
Because on paper, they make 0 sense. A G-Wagon makes 0 sense on paper. No fuel efficiency, not as spacious as a Range Rover, not as comfortable as a Range Rover. That doesn't handle very well, but people still want them.
But I know, but if you've got kids, and let's say you've got a dog or something like that, I personally think it's much better than a Range Rover.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because it's just that durability aspect of it that you can just, chuck stuff into the boot, and pile it up high.
Yeah.
You've got a few, two buggies, and you put them in the back, and then kids, throwing stuff around, and you can quickly clean it up. But I think the best for that is definitely a Defender, though.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You can even take a hose to a Defender inside and just spray it all out.
Have you done that to yours?
Not yet. I can't remember the last time I washed a car. But no, look. So this year, I personally, what I see is that we've not experienced the full pain of cars coming down in value yet. I still think that there's a little bit to go, and I've been sent a few videos, and I know that you've been tagged in a few videos online as well, on TikTok and whatnot, of, have you seen this McLaren? It is the cheapest, it's the cheapest McLaren ever to be sold, or something like that. And,
was that the red 570S?
I think I saw something like that. I can't remember which one it was.
I think people take that out of context, so like, you got to remember, it's going for an auction, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know what auction it was, like a BCA or something. Yeah. And you got to ask yourself first, why is a McLaren going for an auction? There must be something wrong with it, right?
Yeah, it's something like 45,000 miles on it.
So we know that car. The red one.
Yeah.
Everyone. It's going viral. It's a red 570S, and it didn't hit reserve, and the best bid it had was £40,000.
Oh, wow.
Which is, like a massive discount from what they're going for online.
So firstly, it didn't sell, right? So we can't...
Yeah, it didn't sell. But we know the car. The car came here as a good client of ours. It had a gearbox issue. It needed a new gearbox. So he said, I'm going to stick it in an auction. I don't want to spend the money to get the gearbox done. Can you just do something to get the gears working, or at least get it into first gear so I can roll it into an auction?
Oh my God.
So we had to get him to sign a disclaimer saying you're not able to drive the car, whatever.
Yeah.
And he took the car on a transporter, and I think he got dropped straight to the auction.
Yeah.
Which is why I think people must have known about it. It was well known that there was damage on the gearbox. And it was visible. Like, as soon as we got a clip where the car came on a low loader, and Bruce went to the back of it and said, he had a look, and he's like, your gearbox cracked. It's gone. You can see the crack on the outside. Wow. It's this pissing out gearbox fluid.
Oh, no.
So when I kept seeing that, and people were sending it saying the car market's fucked and this, that, blah, blah, blah.
I know, but I don't look at it like that the car market's fucked. What I look at it is that, obviously that's just one example, but then there's other examples of, and this for different reasons. So one is, electric cars. I think we've spoken about it before, but bloody Taycan Turbo S. Give me an example. Like, what has it gone from to?
170 to now 90.
Wow.
I've got a story about that. Yesterday, I was with a good friend of mine after work. His friend just ordered a Taycan, right? Got accepted on finance by Porsche. And then Porsche made a mistake where they didn't include the options. There was about £15,000 worth of options. So the guy then reapplied for finance with the extra £15,000 worth of options, and then got declined. So Porsche said, I'll tell you what, we'll give you the options for free. Just take the damn car.
It's nuts, right?
Yeah, that's how desperate they are at the moment. So they gave him £15,000 or £20,000 worth of options for free just to get the car out.
Surely they gave him some discount as well.
I don't think he asked for it, but that's what I said to him yesterday. I said, surely if your mate would have asked for discount, that's them just doing it without him asking for anything.
£15,000 is they're celebrating with that discount.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, they got away with it.
Probably closed the door, started having a party. But I think that's a message for our viewers. Anybody that's out there and that is looking to go and buy a new car right now, just be ballsy and say it to them, your salesperson down there. how does 30 grand off sound, and see what happens, because you just never know in a market like this what a manufacturer would be up for doing, right?
It's funny you say that figure. Yesterday I was speaking to a customer who's interested in an Aventador. He's got an M4 to part exchange. He bought it middle of last year, and he got £30,000 discount on an M4.
Last year?
Last year.
Oh, wow.
Last year summer, and an M4 was an 80 grand car. So...
No.
Yeah.
So it's an 80 grand car.
You got it for close to 50 grand with dealer contribution. You had to finance it through them.
What?
So, yeah, there are big discounts being given, but not so much on the used car market. But just coming back to what you said, I get it. Like, I get the car market's coming down, but not on everything. There's certain cars where I think you have to be really careful with, like the Land Rovers, and even to an extent the new G63s or the new Romas. GT3s have come down to list price.
Yeah. So you guys was telling me about the GT3s that, you know, only a few months ago you sold.
I sold one for 215 and it had a couple of thousand miles on the clock. 2022 car.
So, sorry, how much you said for?
215.
So 215 grand, and it had a couple of thousand miles on the clock.
If that, yeah.
And that was when?
That was back in June or July. So mid-June, peak summer.
So June 2023, you sold it for 215, couple of thousand miles on the clock. Now, how much is a similar car today?
And I'll be honest with you, I did not see this coming. But I reckon you can get into a GT3 now, similar spec, similar mileage, 175-ish.
You can get into a list, list price.
And that was list back when they were released.
Yeah.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
175 grand. That's a lot of car for the money, no?
I was just about to say, now is the time to buy a car like that.
Yeah.
Because who would have thought you could buy a GT3, a 992 GT3 for list price that's a year old, or even, let's say, 2 years old.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And this is something that, I mean, we've discussed it so much on the podcast before, right? But this is something that Porsche should make you bend over backwards for. They'll make you like,
oh my God.
you better buy 10 cars from us, and then you get it for list, right? That's what you would have to do typically. And now, in today's market, you can actually buy the damn thing for
list.
But this is what happens when manufacturers make you play the game. It kills the market. Look at 296s. Buy this 296, we'll get you a slot for a Purosangue.
So that's a Ferrari 296. What's happened? Like
we were on Auto Trader the other day. We're all looking. You can get a delivery mileage 296 for 215,000. 2023 delivery mileage, a couple hundred miles on the clock for 215,000. So they're coming down now to F8 prices.
But one second, what was the list?
What's the list on the 296?
That would be the best part of 60 grand discount. So 270, low options.
Yeah.
270, 275, I think.
And it's part of their whole plan of, buy this and then we'll get you into this. Which is, by the way, it's never bloody guaranteed, because they done that to me at one point back in the day. And it's never guaranteed that you will get the next best thing. But
the only thing I'd say to that is I've advised a client, a friend as well, who supplies us a lot of cars.
Yeah.
He supplies us a lot of Porsches and Mercs and stuff. You know him, won't say his name. I've advised him, get in with Ferrari.
Yeah.
Start playing the game with them. You're going to lose money on the first couple of cars, but do it. Because, okay, you're making 180 odd grand on a Porsche. You're making 30, 40 grand on some Mercs. You get into the game with Ferrari and suddenly you start really like getting their special models. That's when you can jump up and start making 300 grand profit, 400 grand profit. And then you get into the real high level with the Competiciones and the limited edition, the SF90 XX. You can make up to £1 million profit.
Bloody £1 million profit.
Make silly losses up front. Like if you've got the money there to make the losses, do it. Just show them that you will be their best customer and buy loads of cars for 2 or 3 years.
You know why that doesn't work in our favour? Because they're not. In order to play that game, they can't come and give us the cars. They have to sell them back to Ferrari, right? Pretty much most of the time.
People get away with it.
You reckon?
Yeah, we get cars. We get cars.
But so we get cars. I suppose if they've driven it for a year and then they come back and then they sell it through us, then they can get away with it, because the justification is that I went into something else, a PX deal, whatever, right?
So this is the story that I would tell my clients to tell the dealers.
Don't share all your secrets, George.
Well, no, let them. Look, it's my story. Whether it's someone's truth, it could be something different.
Yeah, okay.
You've bought a car from Ferrari. You've got multiple houses across the world. You also have storage facilities. You're a hoarder. You don't sell your cars. You want to build one of the biggest collections in the world. I've bought a 296 now. I've stuck the 296. I've taken it off insurance. I've left it there. It's sawn. I'm not doing anything with it. In fact, I've put it in my holiday house in Marbella. Just left it there. So yeah, car's still with me, but you're never going to see it. It's not going to be serviced. It's just going to be sat there. I'll pass it down to my kids. How do they know you've sold it? So when we buy these cars and we say it's for the resale market, we're very, very particular about how we do it. We make sure we don't change the ownership on the V5. We make sure that we don't register the car elsewhere where people will find out that the car's been sold. There's literally no way.
We're gonna have Ferrari watching this, like, now we know.
Yeah, but what can they do? Because that could be the truth. We've got clients who have actually got holiday homes and taken their cars out and stuck them abroad. Like, it's true. You see them all the time. I went to actually, sorry, I don't want to say that. I was gonna say I went to.
Yeah, okay, fine. So you went to a country that you can't be named. No, listen, what I see is that Ferrari have really focused on their output of cars, right? They're no longer that brand that would make a couple of thousand cars of their flagship model and then see you later. They are making a ton of cars now, all of a sudden, right? Over the last 5 years, they've suddenly become this brand that produces so many cars. Look how quick the progression was from 488
to F8.
To F8.
You can't keep up.
296.
You can't keep up.
And then
that's spot on, actually. When you go all the way back to, let's say, the F430, that was a stint running from 2004 all the way until 2010. You were able to get 430s.
Yeah.
And then you look at the 488. They were running from 16 until
458.
Yeah, but 458 was a fairly long time. 488 from 16, late 15 to like 19.
It was quick.
That's 4 years.
Yeah.
And the F8's come in from 19 till 21, 22. Sorry, not even 19, 20 to 22. That's 2 years.
2 years
on a V8
That's
model.
nuts,
like,
right?
Come on, how quick are you changing your cars?
And it's not going to do them any favors. Surely it's not. Surely it's going to, it's driving the prices down. Surely.
It is, but I think it comes back to the one thing. Money makes the world go round. And Ferrari have probably seen what other manufacturers are doing. And I think the likes of Porsche have smashed it with how many sales they're doing. They're not
2022 was a record-breaking year for Ferrari.
Really?
It's like 13,221 vehicles sold.
They've probably never even built.
I believe roughly around 30,000 units they've produced, right? 30,000 plus. Wow. It might even be 35,000, even 40. It's become the best-selling model for Lamborghini in the shortest amount of time. Now, previously, the best-selling model was... I think it might have been the Huracan before this, but prior to that, it was the Lamborghini Gallardo. Guess how many of those they made?
I think I know this one.
And this is in total.
Yeah.
40,000?
No, 13,000.
13, okay.
And the 1.3, and that was of all time their best-selling model at that point. And now, in 3 years, Lamborghini Urus, 4 years, they've done...
from 18 till...
they've tripled that.
4 years.
Yeah.
But why is this exciting now? So now they're making all this money. Now they can reinvest this money and bring out even more exciting stuff and like reinvest into better technology, engineering, design. And it's just, you see the next 10 years now, these cars are going to be crazy.
What about this hybrid Lambo that they're producing, the Lanzador?
Fully electric, yeah.
Oh, is it fully electric?
Yeah, Lanzador.
What are we thinking?
Failure.
It's not exciting, is it? It's not exciting at all.
Why?
It's not a Lamborghini. You buy a Lambo
for the noise.
For the noise, and it vibrates and it shakes when you drive. A Lanzador is just going to be a glorified Model X Tesla.
Yeah.
Like, who wants that?
I just don't get it. It's like, how much fun is that going to be? It could be as fast as you want to make it. Like, what's the top speed on an electric car at the moment? Like,
I don't know about the top speed.
Not top speed. I mean, what's the fastest electric car at the moment?
Well, 0 to 60s now.
The Rimac is the quickest.
Fully electric.
Fully electric, 1.8 seconds or something.
Yeah, sub
like
2 seconds.
Yeah. God.
It's crazy.
That is crazy.
It's insane. But it's sad to see. Like I had this thought yesterday, right? So 488 Pistas, 458 Speciales. we see a lot of cars that come in and they've got 1,000 or 2,000 miles on the clock. There's going to be a time where you won't be able to experience these cars anymore.
No.
And most people who buy special series Ferraris or special series Lamborghinis, they tuck them away, put them in a garage and never use them. They do 500 miles a year. And I think that's so sad right now, because there is going to come a time, and we're not going to be ready for this time, where we're not going to be able to experience these cars. So, PSA, anyone that has a special series car, track focus car, just get out and drive it, enjoy it, buy it and enjoy it and put some miles on it, because there's going to come a time where those cars are going to be non-existent.
What did you say before that announcement? PSA?
PSA, yeah.
Public service announcement.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
911 hybrid. What's that
that's
all
the
about?
Gen 2. The 992 Gen 2 is going to be a hybrid.
Wow.
So that's why the GT3s, the GT3 RSs, the GT2 RSs, the turbos, basically any 911 is the last non-hybrid car now. The Gen 2 is going to go, into serious power. We've seen what the likes of the SF90 and the Revo Altos are doing. Now imagine that with a track-focused 911, like a GT2 RS, the Widowmaker, with hybrid power. It's going to be insane. It's going to be quick.
insane.
But it takes away that...
Visceral.
Yeah, you want to be connected to the driver, and that's what Porsche was so amazing about. Their GT cars are, not the quickest cars out there, but it's the most connected for the driver.
Yeah, I do feel that every time I drive a Porsche.
But then when you've got hybrid and battery-assisted power in there, it's almost like you're not really doing the driving now. It's the battery power kicking in. Like,
you're just hanging on.
Stabilizing. Yeah, exactly. It's too quick. You're going to get rid of the whole manual gearboxes, and obviously with the hybrid power, you're not going to have the option of manual gearboxes, which they did have on the Gen 2s. So, I think this is going to pick up the prices on the older models, but I don't like where the market's going. On that note, with where you were saying they're investing all the money back into cars, I hope they don't invest it all back into electric power.
It looks like it's going to go that way, doesn't it, though? Unless that this is a stopgap for something else. And I really do hope so.
The funny thing is, we're talking about models coming out. A big one is the 812 replacement.
Oh, really?
So
this is exciting. Yeah.
So it's been spotted that it is going to be a V12.
That's pretty cool that they've kept it like that, because everybody thought that the 812 would be the last.
So, in my opinion, I think no one knows yet. It's still undercovers. The 812 is probably going to be the last pure naturally aspirated V12.
So it will be.
So there's talks, because Ferrari are now pressured with the ICE ban, the internal combustion engine ban, that they have to try and incorporate some form of hybrid power or something to going towards electric cars. It's either going to be hybrid power. It is going to be hybrid power. That's what they're saying. It'll be very lucky if they get away with a pure naturally aspirated V12. So that'll be really interesting to see. Because if it is pure naturally aspirated V12, I think there are going to be some very pissed off customers out there who have paid 1.6 million pound for a Competizione.
Yeah, thinking it's the last one.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Did Ferrari ever put out a statement categorically saying this is the last one?
The dealers who were supplying the cars were saying...
We're saying it to them.
Like, you have to get this. This is most likely 99% sure it's going to be the very last one. There's no way. There's a ban.
Yeah, but is that a surprise though? Most dealers are going to say that, right?
I disagree with that. I think if you are the person supplying that product, you're meant to have the knowledge of that brand. You work for that brand. Don't give out false information. Us as specialists, we can only do our own research and look into it. But if you're working for that brand, you should be giving correct information, not saying this is the very last one. Because we can only go off what they're saying. We don't have internal links to Ferrari and Maranello. We can only go off what the dealers are saying.
But I guess the dealers can only go off what the factories are selling them as well, I suppose.
The problem comes back down to Ferrari themselves.
Yeah, because how many times have we heard manufacturers say there won't be a Roadster variant of this car, and a year later they produce a Roadster for that particular car? So
Lambo are trying to be a bit clever about that. They said there's going to be no Roadster variant of the Revo Alto. And they are going to make a Roadster variant of it, but just going to call it a completely different model. Yeah. Ferrari did the same thing with the Roma, saying the Roma is like your Aston Martin Vantage competition. It's only going to make coupes of them, and then we'll change it. Then they released the Roma Spider, which is coming out this year, which is now in replacement for the Portofino. So it comes back to the point they're just making too many models.
I think, obviously we've had a strong start to the year. the market's a little bit up and down, like we've already mentioned. But what's the flavour of the month right now in Jan?
SVJs.
Still.
SVJs have been popular even over the festive period when everything was completely quiet. That's the one car that I've seen that's held on to its money, really held on to its money. And then just looking at other cars that have held on to the money people are interested in. Your SVs are still going, we're getting inquiries on those. Pistas, getting people interested in that too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pieces have stayed strong, not strong, but firm for as long as I can remember. They've always been in and around that. Yeah. It's definitely a good place to park your money, I think, Pista.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point to make, though. But if you guys had £250,000 right now, what car would you buy?
Personally, SV, Lamborghini SV.
It'd be a bargain if you buy one like that. You have to get a higher mileage one.
Well, $250,000. You can get one for what, 270 now, ish. So I'd have to beg and plead for the extra 20 grand.
Okay.
If you don't mind lending me that.
Yeah,
I'll go into
anytime.
an SV. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, and what about
Can I
yourself?
get 300?
Tell me.
Right now, what would I get for 300 grand?
300 grand then. Go on, then what for 300?
Spot. I would. But what's this for? Value retention or just fun? Just a car that I want?
Look, given the market's moved so much, right now, if any of our viewers are like, I've got some money on the side, I just want to buy something, what is the one that just is obvious? Like, why the hell would you not buy this at this kind of money?
Okay, I'd beg and plead for a bit more. Stretch to 320 and go for a GT2 RS.
Really?
Because I've never seen them drop this low. I never saw them coming this low. And then looking at the 997 GT2 RS at £500,000, like, come on, it's a no-brainer. The replacement will be a hybrid. It's already announced. Yeah, GT2 RS all day long.
You know, I think sometimes it's hard for the market to see, but what like going forward. But we've been through a couple of these cycles already, and what we know is that there's certain models of these cars that will see a dip in price right now, but inevitably they have to go up. There's just no two ways about it.
100%.
Yeah,
GT2 RS is one of those for sure. Mm-hmm. You know, like a Speciale, 100%.
$1,000,000%. You had your Speciale and you sold it. No, sorry, you bought it when the dip happened, right?
Yeah. And then Ferrari were like begging us to buy it.
Yeah. And look how funny it is. That car is now worth probably 400 grand on the market.
No.
But where do you see it now in the next 5 years? This is exciting.
Gary, I've said it for the past couple of years. I see that car being over £1 million in the next 10 years.
Okay, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And this is what it comes back to that point. Like, there can't be a better time to buy a special car right now.
100%.
If people are saying times are slow and prices are falling, use that. Go to your dealer and say, I want that car.
Yeah.
I'll take your 16M or your Speciale or something like that. I'll put an offer in. I'll take it. Yeah. And that's where people are starting to make money.
Yeah, I think people get blinded by the fact that, it's a luxury item. In this kind of market, it's dangerous to go into something like that. But that's the totally wrong way to look at it. It's actually, the way that you should look at it is like any other asset class, right? 1 second, this is quite a rare item. They're never going to make this particular car again. You know, it's almost like a work of art.
Yeah.
And actually, prices have dipped down to a point where I can see over the next 4 years how much will it return me. That if I can buy a car for 220 grand now and then sell it for 400 in say about 5 years' time, is that in line with the amount of money that I want my money to be making me every single year? So, if it ticks that box, right, in terms of what you think it might make you over those next few years, then why wouldn't you buy it? Because you can bloody have fun with it as well.
Exactly.
100%.
That's the best investment in the world.
Because we see so many ups and downs. Why don't you treat it like stocks and shares?
Yeah.
Like, as you buy something when there's a dip and you think, okay, I have to buy that, it has to go back up.
Yeah.
Why not do the same thing with supercars?
Yeah.
I mean, you go all the way back to classic cars and you see some of them at 40, 50 million, even above 100 million. Now's your chance. These cars will go up to that.
Yeah.
We've got an Enzo sat over there, which came in at 1 million. Now it's at 3.5 million.
Yeah.
Guaranteed in 10 years, that's going to be 10 million.
Yeah.
So,
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
And it's something you could touch and feel and smell and sit in and drive and enjoy. So, and you can let other people enjoy it at the same time as well. So why not? Yeah. Literally like the best investments.
There you have it.
Didn't think you were describing cars there.
Oh, yeah.
So what's in store for GVE 2024? What are we thinking?
Bigger, better, badder. No. So what are we thinking?
Hey, 23 was amazing, right?
23 was really good. And I think the key thing is that we're just still getting the name out there. And, you know, personally, I think that we can easily double what we're doing in terms of business. We can easily double the amount of cars that we're bringing in, double the cars that we're selling. And, you know, all this social media stuff that we're doing is assisting in that.
100%. It was actually funny. Aaron was saying yesterday that he's looking through his previous sales. And he's like, oh, what's this for consistency? 2021, I think he did 200 sales, 2022, 200 something sales, 2023, 205 sales. And he's like, isn't it funny that even though the market went down, but the sales still kept going up? Like everyone kept saying things aren't going so well, but the sales still kept going up. And then if we look at an overcap of those years, yes, maybe some profits were higher a couple of years ago, but the number of units keep going up every year, as every year goes by. And it's not just in reflection of the market. I think it's in reflection of the branding. It's in reflection of how big GVE is now, that we're reaching into more and more people's minds, and all over the world people are finding out about us. People from the States, people from Australia, contacting us and asking for advice on cars. So it's finally seeing the results.
I think the key to that is consistency, right?
Yeah.
So we've been consistently just hitting and overachieving and just keep pushing that social media.
I think in a market like this, right, you can't rely on the old methods of selling a car. I think is the simple way of looking at it. And the old method is you get a car, you spruce it up a bit, you stick it on Auto Trader and hope for the best, right? I think that in today's world, we have to educate our customers a little bit more about what is a good investment, what is good for the long term. And, you know, we do this via social media as well. So I think it's good. I reckon, you know, let's aim to double.
Yep, 100%. Another thing for this year to consider as well is interest rates.
Yeah.
So last year was a whole thing of interest rates have peaked. But I don't think many people know this. For the last 3 months on asset funding, interest rates have dropped every month.
Yeah.
And only 3 days ago, Aldermore Bank, which are one of the biggest asset lenders out there, have just dropped their rates consecutively for the third month in a row.
No way.
So now we're able to get finance at as low as 9% APR.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Not long ago, they were getting 13, 14%.
Well, that's my point. Yeah. It was only 6 weeks ago that when I asked that same question from you guys, it was like, 13% APR. And that is pretty crazy to think that a year ago people were paying 6.5, and now actually the jump up to 9 is not actually so terrible anymore.
No, it just goes to show that come summer, touch wood, I do see them coming back down to that sort of normal mark.
Wow.
I think at 7 or 8 should be the aim for the end of the year.
That's great. And then to think that actually, if the interest rate has only gone up by a small bit,
and you're
but the prices are much lower, then
now is the time.
Now it's definitely the time.
Pull the trigger, 100%.
Cool. So there you have it, guys. That was the first episode of the GVE podcast for 2024. I hope you enjoyed. And if you do enjoy this kind of content, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, we'll see you later.